Hey y'all, so I'm gonna jump right into this video. She has came in and I have soaked off her nails, did her natural nail prep, and then I applied her tips. Now as you can see, these are those C-curve tips, the really long ones, and I kind of wanted to show you guys how I go about cutting these and getting them into the shape that I need them to be. So with any other kind of tips, I always start off by clipping off the length first. Her last set was kind of short, so when she came in this day, she was like, give me some length. So we're going for a long, medium to long set, I guess you can say. So as I'm cutting these down, I'm measuring them against the other nails. So you always want to be sure that you do that. You want all of your nails to match. When it comes to the pinky, it is kind of hard to get that measured correctly to the other nails. You can either take a nail form and use the numbers on the nail form to measure all of your tips, or you can kind of just eyeball it, which is what I do. So once I'm done with the length, I'm going to come in with these stork scissors. And as you can see, I've turned her finger to the side so you can see exactly where you need to cut. Now the shape that we're going for is a tapered square. So when I make my cut, I'm taking my scissors and just going straight down. Just before I get to her sidewalls, I always kind of leave a nudge there. As you can see, half of that tip is hanging off, just so I can come in there with my file. I feel more secure about doing it like that. I don't want to accidentally go too far down with the scissors and nip anyone. So I just go down as far as I can, and then I'll come in with my nail file. Now, when you really turn to the side, you can see exactly where you need to cut. So imagine your shape and how straight you want it to be. Make sure that you're aligning it with the natural sidewalls, and then just cut straight down. So after I have them cut into shape, I'm going to come in with my hand file, and as you can see, I'm really only filing off that sidewall piece there. Since I've already cut the bottom half of it into shape with my scissors, only thing I need to do is even out where the sidewall is. And I've noticed too that in the past I have basically over filed my nails, so you want to make sure that you're not taking a lot off. I really don't try to go too far in when I'm shaping just the tip. I like to get it into shape, of course, but I do not try to overfile and get it perfect, because I'm going to rely on my application also to give me shape. And then of course, when I come in and I finish file. Next, I'm going to come in with my sanding bit, and I'm just going to flush that tip to her natural nail. I'm bringing that sanding band just behind the tip, making sure that I'm not going on the natural nail, but just behind it. That's what you want to be flushed. This is a necessary step to me, because sometimes, especially with tips like these tips are thick. And if you leave that, sometimes it can interfere with your application, and you can possibly see, like a little bump under your application. So just to ease my mind, I always blend out that tip area. And to finish off my nail prep, I'm coming in with my ball bit, and I'm just going around that cuticle area, actually her eponychium, where that dead skin has risen up and it's still hanging off of her live skin. So you could go in with nail clippers, or this is just the safest way for me to do it. I like to try to buff it off first, and if it's just a whole lot left, then I'll go in and I'll use my nippers. And I do it just like I do my cuticle area. When I come in with my cuticle bit, I'll do one side first, and then I'll put my bit in reverse, and I'll do the opposite side. Now, maybe y'all have noticed, but typically I love to upload like twice a week. But this past week, y'all, I'm telling you, I have not been on it. I have been in Cricut world, okay? I just recently got a Cricut, as some of you may know, and I have just been playing with it, trying all kinds of things, trying to make stickers. I made me a little apron, trying things with decals. So I've been into it, honey. I haven't had time to do anything. If I have a cancellation, I hadn't even been feeling it. I've been coming home and messing with my new toy. So I think it's going to be a really good purchase. I'm going to get a lot out of it. So as soon as I, get more comfortable with it, I'll be sure to share my progress with you guys. So here are all the products I'm going to be using in this set, and this is a inspired set. I'll be sure to pop in the picture so you guys can see where I got my inspiration from, and I'll be sure to leave the names of these products in the description. Now I'm going to start off on the ring finger, and I'm going to be doing just the all clear nail on this one because I'm going to be doing some 3D flowers towards the end. So I'm just going to apply that clear. And as I'm applying this, I'm applying it very wet. So anytime you're doing a clear nail, you're doing a glitter nail, anything that you want super clear clarity, always make sure that you're using wet beads. And anytime you go in to move that product, as you can see, I'm moving it down the tip. I go in and I wet my brush and I get a little extra monomer on my brush just to make sure that nothing is dry that's touching that bead. That's how bubbles get into it and it ruins your clarity. So we don't want that. Keep your beads wet. Now I'm coming in with my cuticle bead and I'm just creating my apex and my strength with this one. So here lately, we just got through with a big winter storm down here in Texas, and we're finally getting some sunshine. So y'all know us ladies, anytime we get a little bit of sunshine, we're busting out them flip-flops, shorts, skirts, all that good stuff. And it doesn't make any difference when it comes to the nails. We get a little sun and I want some bright nails, okay? So everyone who's been coming in, I've been kind of trying to edge them to the bright side. If they say anything about color, I'm like, girl, you want some bright nails? and I'm trying to get them ready because it's spring. I'm ready to start bringing in those bright colors. So that's what we're going for today. I saw this set and it really just caught my eye. I seen other ones, but I kept going back to this one. So this is the one that we're going to create today. Now, I did kind of change it up, and that's typically what I like to do when I see a set that I want to recreate. If I don't do it like to the T, which is pretty rare, if it's just so very, very beautiful, then I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna do it to the T. But most of the time I like to put my little spin on it. And it's just because I'll see something in one set and then I'll see something in another picture, or I'll do something that I want to redo. So I try to incorporate that all when I know I'm creating a set for someone or for myself. So that's what we did with this set. Now, for the middle finger, I went and applied that nude base, and I basically brought it down and kind of left it there to kind of set up because I'm going to come in and create a V cut. So then I moved on to this pinky, and I'm applying my ombre color. And then I'm going to come back to that middle finger and I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm just going to make a V cut. And this is pretty much how I do my cutouts, my ombres. I'll always start on that one finger, but then I'll jump to another to, give time for that one to set up. Especially for ombres. I always do all of my ombres like that. And of course for cutouts, you never want to cut into your acrylic right after you set it down. It's still wet and you're just going to basically create a mush. So you want to be able to give time for that product to set up. So I'm back to the pinky and I'm going to take that Young Nails cover oh, I can't even remember what it is, but it's a cover powder. And I'm just going to blend that into my first color, that Ocean Breeze by GlamandGlits. It is so pretty, y'all. I mean, when I pulled it out, I was like, ooh, child, yes, this is what we need. It's like a, oh, it's bright, but it's still got that um pastel kind ofness to it. I can't explain it, but it's really it's really pretty. You should get it. And as I'm creating this ombre, as you can see, I went in with that first bead and then I'm coming in with my second bead. And that again is something typical that I do when it comes to ombres. I never try to do it all in one bead when it comes to the nude color, because I want to be able to create that fade. So I always start with one bead right at the end of the first color. I put that down and then I'll come in with another bead, and that kind of just blends it all together and creates that fade that you want. And once I get done applying that nude, I'll go in and I will cap it with clear. So for the thumb, I'm going to be doing another ombre. And if you can't tell, I have applied my clear first. So anytime I do ombre, I always apply a clear base. That just makes it so when you go in and you start fading out those colors, you have a smooth canvas. You don't want any kind of bumps. And that means, you know, if you didn't really blend out your tip good, boom, there will be some inconsistency. So always go in and just apply that clear so you don't have to worry about it, and it'll be a smooth canvas for you. So once again, to create my ombre, I'm starting with a bead right there where that first color ends, and I'm just patting it down first. So never swipe down first, but start patting it down and bringing that color down, and then when it gets to where you want it to be, start fading. That is another thing when it comes to your acrylic. You have to know when to pat and when to smooth. I think that may be the hardest thing when you're learning, because you really don't even know that those two things is what really makes a good application. You see what I'm saying? So know when to pat and know when to smooth. You pat when you want to create fullness, opaqueness, when you want to make the structure, or you smooth out your brush when you want to blend and create fade and smooth. Make sense? I hope so. And right here, I'm going to come in with a small bead because I wanted my fade to come down a little bit more towards the tip. So I applied that bead, and as you can see, I'm patting back there where the bead is coming in contact with the other nude bead. So I'm patting that, and now I'm going to smooth it out right there at the back, and then I'm going to walk it down, and then I'm going to smooth out where it's faded. So where it's faded, I smooth, but then where I wanted to create more of that opaque color is where I pat it. All right, that middle finger has had time to dry, and I went in and I filed it into shape, kind of just sharpened up that V, and now I'm coming in with a white, and I'm just going to press that up against that nude color. Now I'm being very careful when I apply this white, because I don't want to just apply it and then have to come back in and file off excess white. I want to be able to apply it smooth and against that line to where that's all I'll have to do. I used to go in, and sometimes I still do, I'll apply the white and I'll just brush it back, because that'll really push that white up against that nude, and you do get a sharper image. But you can always get away with applying it like this also and still get a defined V. And same thing, I'm going to just, put down that white, clean it up on the sides, and then I'm going to give time for it to dry, because I'm also going to come in afterwards and cut out another little V. And with this particular white, it sets up pretty fast, so I didn't have to wait long. I could come right in and make my cutout. And anytime I'm using my X-Acto knife, before I come in and cut, I dip it into my clear powder. You can either dip it into your clear or dip it into the powder that you're using. So I could dip it into the white if I wanted to. But I'm just doing that so I won't, risk the chance of any of that product sticking to the X-Acto knife. And then when I come in with my cut, it won't give me a straight cut because it'll have buildup on it. So always make sure your X-Acto knife is clean up product, and always make sure that you're dipping it into the powder before you make your cut. So for my pointer finger, I'm going to be doing a gel marble, and I'm going to be using my Blossom gel to achieve that. So as you can see on my palette, I have a dab of white, and then on the other side, I'm going to try to create that green color that's in my set. And y'all, I really didn't have a good gel polish to do this. So I started off with like a lime green gel polish, the white, and then a little dark green, and it still wasn't doing what I wanted to do. So what I did was just grab some of my pigment, and I just took like a dab of that pigment and tossed it in there and mixed it up, and that was more similar to the color that I had. So that ended up working out. So I'm going to take that Blossom gel, and I'm just going to apply a thin layer down at the tip. I'm going to kind of be doing like a ombre effect. So my marble is going to be at the tip, and then I'll apply my nude at the back. So when using this Blossom gel, you want to use a thin layer. The first time I used it, I kind of just plopped it on, and it was a mess. Before I can even cure it, it was already like blooming everywhere, and that's not really what I want. I just want to kind of to be able to create a little marble. I want you to see the lines of the marble. So I'm mixing that white and that green, trying to create those swirls, but it really wasn't working because I think the green was so flattened out from me mixing it that it wasn't enough of it to really create a swirl. So I just used my brush and picked it up and basically swirled it on top of the nail, and it worked out fine too. And it's basically like when I'm doing a acrylic marble, you just swirl that product into each other. So with the Blossom gel, it really helps to move it anyway. So it worked out pretty good. And I could have did it just with the acrylic, but here lately I've been seeing a lot of gel marbles, and I really like how it looks. It definitely seems like there's more definition when you use the gel. So that's why I chose to do it like this. Before I cure it, I'm going to make sure that I wipe off any excess that has dripped down from the sides of the nails, and then I'll have her cure it for a full 60 seconds. So when she comes out, I'm going to make sure that I wipe off that inhibition layer. I am going to be still going over this with acrylic and encapsulating it, so I do not want to leave that tacky layer. Now, I have done it before where I did leave the tacky layer, and it still worked out fine. The only thing you notice is when you're coming in with your acrylic, it's more slippery. Basically. So you want to make sure that you get that tacky layer off. Then I'm going to take those shards, and without any extra product, I'm just going to press them into that wet acrylic. And I don't want to really overwhelm the nail with all of these shards, so I'm basically kind of doing a swirl, so you can still see the marble, you can still see the fade, and then you have those shards coming through the center. Once I have that nail done, I'm going to kind of let it set up, and then I'll go in and cap it. And then I'm going to come back to my middle finger, and I'm going to apply my glitter. Now the glitter I'm using was that, I want to say Secret Nail Affair, but I'm also using just a raw glitter, and it's basically like a lime green iridescent. So I'm applying the Secret Nail Affair first, and then I'll go in and just tap in that raw glitter on top, and then of course I'll cap it all with clear. So once I have everything capped, here are the nails completed. So the first thing I do is I use my hand file to sharpen out the edges, and then I'll go in with my e-file and use a safety bit to smooth out the body, and then I'll finish with my sanding band just to flush out the cuticle area. And I typically do every set like that, just in that order. So once I have both hands filed, now I'm going to finish these nails off with my final designs. So for that clear nail, I told you guys I'm going to be doing some 3D flowers. So I'm just going to make sure that I cleanse the nails with alcohol first. She's already washed her hands, but I also go in and cleanse the nails with the alcohol pad. And so for this clear nail, I'm going to be doing some 3D flowers. So I'm just going to start off with a bead. And this white is perfect for doing 3D flowers because, like I said earlier, it dries pretty fast. So you don't have to sit there and wait a whole long time for it to go semi-matte before you can go in and start creating your petal. So I really like this white for that. So as you can see, I'm going to start by applying one bead, and then I'm going to kind of let it set up, and then I'm going to lay another bead and then go back to the first bead. And that's just because, you know, I'm trying to move through the set. I'm trying to make sure that I utilize all of my time right instead of waiting one by one and, you know, waiting for it to set up and then I go in and press it out. No, I'm going to set one bead down, set another one down, move back and forth so I can get these petals on. Now, I'm not going to try to fill up the whole nail with flowers. I'm basically going to be doing like that glitter nail, how I kind of did it through the center like a little swivel. So I'm really not able to fit a lot of flowers on this nail anyway. So I'm going to start in the center with this one, and then I'm just going to be able to create two others. Now for my center, you can do anything when it comes to the center of the flower. I chose to use that green, and I'm just going to do like a little ball. And I've been seeing these flowers everywhere too, and I thought they were super cute. I've seen another set and she did basically like a mustard yellow ombre, and then she had just one nail with these little flowers, and in the center of it was the yellow. So it was just so cute. So I knew I wanted to recreate it, but I was like, nah, I don't want to do yellow. So I ended up doing the green instead, and I really loved it. And I think you can never go wrong when it comes to 3D flowers, especially springtime, summertime, even fall. I really like to use 3D flowers. And when it comes to those, you just got to keep practicing. Like I said, you got to make sure that when you're taking your brush and pressing in your flowers, that it's all coming to a center point. So each time you lay a petal, your brush should be facing the same way always. Different angle, but pointing in the same direction, and then give it time to set up. Don't try to press it out when it's wet. And that's pretty much it. It just takes practice. And I know, like, when you're first learning, you kind of hate to hear that, like, because you basically are like, I've been practicing, but that's honestly what it takes. Nobody is an expert overnight. So girl, keep at it. You'll get it. So on that middle finger, I know it already has my cutouts and it has a lot going on, but I'm going to pump it up even more and add some butterflies to it. So these butterflies, these ones I believe I got from Nail Supply Glamour. And they're just the holographic butterflies. They kind of got that green yellow tint to it. So I added those and I thought they looked really good. In her picture, she used more like of a lime green one. And I had some, but I didn't think I had enough. So that's why I used these ones. Now, once I get done applying those butterflies, I'm going to immediately top coat it with this base gel, and it's from Ugly Duckling. And I just recently got this one and I've been loving it. Like before this one, I used the gel bottle ink, but this one is really thin. So it self levels like automatically. It works really good for encapsulating anything. So if you're looking for a gel base, try that one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget, if you're not following me on Instagram, please do so, and like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in another video. Bye.